Okay, so I'm back in Serbia, and here are my thoughts on my 6 weeks being based in Bratislava as a Canadian expat who recently acquired Slovak citizenship by descent. Now, I posted a video 2 days ago before I left Bratislava, and you can find that on this channel. And that was my very emotional sort of take the day before I was leaving on how I felt about my future in Bratislava. I was mostly making it for myself, but I remember uploading it to this channel and kind of like not caring whether it was public or not, you know? I actually made 3 or 4 videos before that, which I did not make public yet, of my initial impressions, how happy I was to be in Bratislava, how great it felt to be a citizen of that country, and like all that sort of stuff. And so the one I actually did release is my impressions at the end. Now, how does it feel to be back in Serbia? Well, this is the country which has played the biggest role in my adult life in forming me who I am today. You know, my background is from my father's side Slovak German, so Germans from Slovakia, or Austrians as they might be called. And my mother's half Canadian, so Scots-Irish descent, and half Ukrainian. So I'm a mix of sort of cultures. 3/4 of my sort of like cultural background comes from Slovak adjacent cultures, Ukrainian and Austrian. And my grandparents grew up in a country called Czechoslovakia and left in 1946. So that's my story. And, you know, I'm really grateful that the Slovak government is including people like us in the citizenship by descent, even though we're not ethnically Slovak. The ethnicities are kind of complicated in that part of the world, especially Bratislava. You know, basically during the Austro-Hungarian Empire, ethnicities were very fluid, especially among people like my great-grandfather, Karl Teck, who was some sort of minor aristocracy, and, you know, the culture was mixed Hungarian, German, and Slavic, all 3 of them together in Bratislava, with influences from, you know, the other minorities as well. And, yeah, they wouldn't have actually identified as either Hungarian or German or whatever until they were asked to, I guess. Maybe they would have a home language and that would be what they would define themselves as. But it was really trilingual, Bratislava as a city then. And, you know, still sits on the borders of Hungary and Austria. So, what does this all mean? My experience in modern day Bratislava, on a whole, really good. I love the chill vibes of the city. I find the people adorable. I like the language too. I was learning Slovak for 6 months from November. Reason being, as soon as I got the approval of citizenship and was going to the Slovak embassy in Bangkok, I decided to start taking online Slovak lessons so I could at least pronounce the oath with good Slovak. Now, Slovak was easier to learn for me because I already speak Serbian from living in Serbia for so long. But that's a huge source of confusion because a lot of the way that I speak Serbian is based on this Belgrade vibe. And translating that into Slovak, I have to tone down my body language, the volume of my voice. The tonality in Belgrade tends to be very deep, you know, like, whereas Slovak, dobrý den, oh, no, very nice and polite and civilized, whereas Serbian, at least has spoken in Belgrade, it's a savage South European language. Now, I previously made a video which I have not released, which is the difference between Serbian and Slovak mentalities. And for the purposes of this video, I'll just say that Serbia is the loud and proud country of the Balkans that was historically on the war zone and between the Ottoman and Austrian empires, Ottoman, Turkish, and Austro-Hungarian empires. And basically, their culture reflects that bombastic nature. And Slovakia was a nice Central European civilized culture that lived at the heart of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and was shielded from a lot more conflict over history, over hundreds of years. That's the main difference between how the two cultures developed and how the language developed, and the differences that I noticed. So yeah, now I'm back in Serbia, and so what's the aftertaste? I can immediately be my loud and proud self in Serbia. I know the language to a, pretty good intermediate level, upper intermediate, I'd say. Like, it's fluent. I don't know all the words that they use, but I'm pretty good with the flow of the language, to the point where sometimes they think I'm a local when they hear me speak, but then it slips when they hear a few more sentences and I mess something up with the grammar. Slovak, I'm a upper beginner now, my tutor says. And there's a lot of confusion between them too. But yeah, mostly about mentality. The mentality in Bratislava, I love the fact, as I said in the previous video, very little drama. But there's very little outward display of passion to the performative nature that Serbian people do. So I'm happy to be back here and doing this, because I've always been a performative guy. No, there's two sides of me. Like, there's the nice, quiet, sort of reserved Erik, and then there's the loud and proud, bombastic Erik. And I think Slovakia really represents the reserved Erik, and Serbia represents the bombastic Erik, the loud and proud, sort of like musician singing songs about rebelling against the cultural mentality of society and all this sort of stuff. That's what I was able to explore living here. Now, what could I explore in Slovakia in the future is the question I'm asking myself. Because here, there's a lot going on all the time. There's a lot of drama here in Serbia. There's a lot of toxicity, negativity. But it's beautiful. It's a circus. Slovakia, people are more just sticking to a good life, sticking to a nice, calm sort of thing that just tries to keep things the way that they are or should be. And I have a deep respect for that. So, in one part of my mind, I have some sort of fantasy of finding a Slovak woman and settling down with her. On the other side, the feedback indicates that Slovak women might not be able to handle this wild Balkan side of me. So, this wild musician side of me, this wild entrepreneur, global traveler, and all of this is stuff that I nurtured from, in my 20s and 30s in Serbia. So, I don't know. Maybe there's Slovak women out there who can handle it and are curious about what it's like to go around the world by the side of a man like me. I don't know. We'll see. The story is still open for everything. Now I'm going to Canada next weekend, where I grew up in Toronto, for my mother's birthday, and to catch up with friends and family and chosen family there, people I've known for a long time. That's going to be good. Canada remains a place that I grew out of by the time I was 25. Serbia remains a place that formed me as a man, but I felt the need to go further. Ended up in Thailand. Slovakia now represents a place where I have citizenship and rights, a lot of family history, and a good start, and lots of experiences throughout my life. So, I got 4 countries that I can... Also, I lived in England for a year, and I know I'm very compatible with that culture, because I do business there still. And it's the root of this language that I'm speaking as my mother tongue. So, yeah, Slovak, German, Serbian, Canadian. It's all a big mix. But I need to see more of Slovakia, because Bratislava is what it is. And I believe the truth of Slovakia, the thing that will really resonate with me, the stuff, the deep Slavic culture that they have outside of Bratislava, the real Slovakia. I need to explore that more. So maybe in July or September, yeah, those are the plans. July and September, I'm going to be in Slovakia again. At first with my cousin, who's coming here to Serbia, then I'm driving him back in July, and then in September with my parents, so my dad can pick up his Slovak passport. And he actually discovered he was Slovak at birth when he applied for citizenship by descent, because his mother, despite the fact he was born in Austria, in Vienna, his mother was a Slovak citizen at that point. So, this story is not over, but I'm back in Serbia for a week to relax at my country house in Šumadija before, which is real Serbian culture, real Serbian countryside, like I'm talking about I want to see from Slovakia. A week here to catch my breath, focus on preparing myself to go back to Canada and open whatever is to be opened there from my past. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you later.